Welcome to the Sales SOS podcast, where we answer your sales distress calls. I'm Liz Heiman, and each week I'm joined by your crew of seasoned sales experts who have navigated these waters and come out victorious. So if you're ready to turn your sales distress into sales success, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's topic. Welcome to the Sales SOS podcast. I'm Liz Heiman, your host. And I'm here with your Sales SOS podcast crew, Brynne Tillman, Chris Bowen, Renee Bigelow, and Mike Simmons. And we're here talking in this set of episodes, we're talking about internal team building for sales success. And we've had a couple episodes where we've talked about this topic. We started by talking about how do you get all of the teams in your organization, especially sales, to coordinate and work together. We talked about a day in the life of a salesperson. Why do they behave the way they do? And how do you get the rest of the team to understand that? So that was episode 2 in this series. And then the next episode, we were talking about how do you support your sales team with strategy, tools, and compassion? Like what do we need to do as leaders to support them to success within this larger organization? And there's some great mic drop moments in that. But this time, I really want to talk about how do we implement new initiatives? So I don't know about you guys, but I see this all the time, right? Oh, we're going to implement a new CRM. Or the CEO says, look, we're going to start doing this now. We're going to start focusing on this product, or we're going to have sprints, or whatever it is that somebody comes up with, and we got to build this initiative, bring it up to date, and bring the sales team up in it and get the rest of the organization bought in. And I will tell you, I don't know if you guys have heard this or not. One of my experiences has been having salespeople, and I've heard this multiple times. Salespeople say this: well, what we do is we listen to what the CEO says they want to do or what the new initiatives are going to be. And then we just sit on it for about 30, 60, 90 days and confirm that they're really serious. And then if they're really serious and they don't change their mind, then we start focusing on that. And then what I hear the leadership saying is, well, we tried this for 30 days and it didn't work, so we're going to try something new. So these behaviors tend to feed each other. And what we get is my favorite word, which is chaos. So how do we implement initiatives and then get them going? Brynne, are you ready to share with us?
You think? Maybe I'm excited. Okay. So just quickly, couple things. Change doesn't fail because the idea was bad. It fails because the rollout skipped over the why and what's in it for them and how it helps the salespeople win. Right? So I'm all about my little quotes because I'm in social media. And so these are all quotes that I've had out on images. But if you want salespeople to adopt something new, you need to show them how it helps them close more business faster and make it easy to integrate into what they're already doing well. You've got to engage a few trusted sales champions early in the process, get some wins, have them be your champions and tell the story. And you have to frame these initiatives with how it will help you make more money, get better results. And ultimately, I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, what do salespeople care about? Hitting their number, making your commission, and hopefully they care about making an impact. But an initiative that rolls out, like we have a new, why is CRM such a hard challenge to get people to do? Because the activity doesn't help me win deals. Right? If we can make the activity help them win deals, they'll get buy-in. Okay, that's my rant.
All right, you guys. Oh, I don't like this view. So what do you, wait, I'm playing with views here, everybody. Let's try this one. Okay, so what do you think? I mean, Brynne just laid it out there. This is, if you want sales to do something, it's got to help drive numbers, right? It's got to help drive success.
I mean, I don't think it's any different than any other significant initiative that you want to do. It's always going to be what's in it for me, right? If you can't articulate to the sellers and sales leadership, how is this going to benefit them and the team? you're going to have a hard time getting buy-in, and you should expect people to be skeptical because they've probably seen a lot of these things. I mean, the number of things that I've seen that we're going to do this, whatever it is, and it sounds great. You get people fired up, and then it dies on the vine, and there's no communication or anything else around, right? And it's like, hey, you have to have a realistic understanding. What's the time frame that it's going to take in order for us to see results? What are those results going to look like? How are we going to know that we're on the right track? How do we know when we have to make some sort of adjustment? As I've said before, most of the time, the changes that you have to make are a 180-degree change. You're not turning completely around, going the opposite direction. You're adjusting 10, 15, 20% off of where you thought you were going to go because of what you've gotten feedback from the market, feedback from other impacted parties, whatever it happens to be. So that's how I would say is, show them what's in it for them, and then make sure you're communicating fairly consistently along the way. If anything changes or when we are seeing success, people love to be copycats, right?
I'll add in, I think we're all human, and what's in it for me is always going to come up. And we're always thinking if it's not clear. But I also believe, this is when I'm going to get into that culture piece that you'll almost always expect from me. I do believe most people choose to work at a company for a reason, right? Much of the time in a high functioning culture, that is because we believe in the purpose and the values. That's where we're all aligned. We believe in this shared mission, right? In a sales culture, there's an additional piece of that where you need to believe it's also the right thing for your customer. So there's the what's in it for me. There's the needing to communicate why this is important for the company, how it serves our purpose, why it is important for our values, how it helps us express and serve our values, right? All of those things are incredibly important. And that should be part of the messaging to the entire company, not just the sales team. But I believe it's also very important, particularly with the sales team, the whole company, but particularly with the sales team, to explain why the change from the perspective of the customer through the lens of our purpose and values too, right? So if we are known as a solution and we help people do X and our values are A, B, and C, if we can say we're doing this change because it helps us do X better or differently or in a new way or solve a new problem, and it also serves our values A, B, and C through 1, 2, 3. By doing 1, 2, 3, we serve our values. If we say that for ourselves, and then we also say, and P.S., our customers come to us because of our promise, because of our values. And this is how we need to communicate that we're doing it better now because we're doing this change. This change supports those things. I think that's a 360 view. What's in it for me? What's in it for the company? And what's in it for the customer? And that is a really hard thing to not get behind if you've already chosen to work somewhere because you feel aligned with it.
I think it's really important as we're making changes that everybody does understand why we're doing it. I can tell you that when I think I've told you guys the story before, when I was working for Liz Heiman and I was doing sales training, strategic selling or conceptual selling training, and I would have 2 days with a sales team. And at some point during that 2 days, I would have to stop the curriculum and let them talk about the changes that the organization had made or leadership had made that was undermining their ability to sell. So the alignment never happened. They never brought sales in on why this mattered, why technology was changing, why customers may not realize yet that they need like this. They just said, we made this change. They expect me to still have my same number, but they got rid of the product that my customer, whatever it was. And they were so frustrated that they had to stop and tell me about it. And then we would do some brainstorming about, how do we communicate this back? How do we get an understanding?
So you did that education for their leadership, essentially.
Right. What you got for me, Mike?
What do we do as salespeople?
Sell.
Okay. So what is selling?
Solving
Solving problems, right?
Solving a problem. So when we solve a problem, what usually has to happen in order to solve the problem?
Which part? The customer has to have a
What
problem.
of some sort.
Something has to change, right? Isn't it funny that we're out there helping people change, but we struggle with change inside our own organizations?
Yeah.
And at what point do we turn around and start asking ourselves, like, what is it? You're like, why does change happen with our customer base? What compels them to make a change? What compels them to take a certain amount of action? Why does that change occur? And start applying some of the thinking that we do. Like, imagine if we applied our own sales process inside our business to help reinforce or drive or support some of that change, getting the buy-in, supporting decision-making, working through that journey, designing for success. It's all stuff that you know how to do inside your business. At least I hope you do. If you don't, you're probably not going to have your business very long, but it's something that you know how to do inside your business. Why not, on behalf of your customers, why not apply it to internal customers and see what happens?
Absolutely. Yeah. If we haven't communicated well with our sales team, if we haven't done this change management so that they understand it, they're not going to buy into it. And so you're right. You're absolutely right, Mike. We have to, as an organization, make sure that we have managed the change and the communication around the change and all of the other changes in order to get the result that we're looking for.
Yeah, and typically that change will happen because of some kind of personal gain or removal of personal pain, right? There's like some kind of gain or there's some kind of pain that we're kind of dealing with. So if you align with what Renee shared and that we're all inside the organization because we have a similar sense of purpose in helping to achieve whatever the objectives are, and we communicate with the team how this fits into that, they'll typically have more buy-in. Like when I'm doing technology changes inside organizations, typically it's either about getting better insight and information so we can make faster decisions or reducing the amount of time that we have to spend talking to each other. Like those are key things that will end up happening. So know the pain, know the gain, know the change, manage effectively through it, and also set the right expectations that, hey, when you make change, mistakes happen. Things will fail. We'll learn, but we'll at least learn quickly and adjust.
So I think the other piece here is, again, this larger organization thing. How does this impact the relationship between sales and marketing? How does this impact the relationship between sales and delivery? How does this impact the relationship between sales and accounting, or between marketing and accounting, or product team and, delivery, whatever it is? It's not just the process that will change, but a whole bunch of processes will change and relationships with the customers will change. So all of these things have to be added into the equation and mapped out and planned and worked on in some way. Okay. Any other thoughts? I think we've we sort of beaten this horse to death. Is there anything else that we need to include in this conversation?
I'll add the practical tip again. I mean, we've talked about like the higher level strategy, but practical application. I think this is Brynne brought up playbooks, and Brynne and I both talked about playbooks in our last episode. This is a perfect place to think about templates and playbooks and other enablement materials. And this is not just in sales. If it's organizational change, it needs to be throughout, right? Your marketing team is going to need a playbook for what needs to be changed too, right? Your accounting department, if the billing is changed, shipping, if you're sending out a new product, shipping is going to need this new playbook as well, right? All those things need feedback from all of those departments. If you want good buy-in, they should have some input into these playbooks. And then these playbooks come back out to help people build that muscle memory. And to what another point Brynne brought up earlier when we talked about time blocking and when is it successful, this is one of those moments where there needs to be new muscle memory, right? So making sure that you give room, ear space, whatever you want to call it, breathing room, whatever, for change to succeed. Free up time. As Mike said, we're not always going to win everything. There are going to be some lessons to learn when we're changing things, reducing that friction or risk, that fear along with that, giving a little a little extra space and time to get these things done while we build up the muscle memory and the tools to do it. I think those are like very practical things that we can do that increase buy-in through every step so that, after our pilot period, we have a lot more buy-in, even if we don't have it on day one.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing the practical. Okay, well, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for the Sales SOS podcast. We'll be here next month on the second Friday. And if you are joining us in this episode, please watch our upcoming episodes. Or if you haven't, I think we're on 70 episodes about. So if you haven't seen the prior episodes, join us. We look forward to hearing your input. Everybody have a great day and happy selling.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Sales SOS podcast. A huge thank you to our experts for throwing us a lifeline with their insights. We hope that episode has equipped you to navigate sales leadership with confidence. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to your Sales SOS podcast on your favorite platform. If you have questions, comments, or topics you'd like us to explore, join us live on LinkedIn every second Friday, or share your questions on LinkedIn or YouTube. Until next time, keep sailing toward your sales goal.